Hey, joy seekers. Have you ever felt like life handed you a front row seat to the Trauma Olympics and you didn't even sign up? Same here. But here's the wild part. I decided to choose joy, and it's been a game changer. Stick with me for the next 10 minutes and I'll share how I turned my trauma into a trampoline to bounce into a happier, healthier life. And yes, you can do it too. Hey again, joy seekers. Welcome to the Joy Revolution, a place where we don't just talk about joy, we choose it. Even when life feels like it's been written by a soap opera scriptwriter on a bad day, today I'm going to take you on a little journey, a journey that started with some pretty heavy baggage and ended up with a suitcase full of joy. Ready? Let's do this. So let's get real. We all have our stories. Those chapters in our lives that are a little too dramatic, a little too painful, and a lot too real. For me, it started with, well, let's just say life threw some pretty tough stuff at me early in my childhood. I reacted to the pertussis vaccine and was a cathartic baby for a month. My mother handed me off to my dad because it was too difficult for her. I was diagnosed with asthma at 3 years old, and they thought I had cancer by the time I was 7. That's just during the most formative years of my life, the development stage, where we are in a sponge state, and parents were stressed and fighting. I was ruining every vacation with a trip to the ER, and none of my siblings had the same problem. So I still am very aware of the aloneness I can feel. I suffered pretty major depression in my 20s and had abusive relationships. I spent plenty of time wondering how I was supposed to get back up when I was so flat on my face. I went through sort of a dark night of the soul, that phase where you're basically questioning everything. Why me? Why now? What now? And seriously, what did I ever do to deserve this? It was like life turned into one big, bad, cosmic joke. And I wasn't laughing. Sometimes I can still have those moments. However, I found a way to counteract all of that. It's about our brain. It's about how our brain works. My brain? Oh, it was having a field day. Stress, anxiety, fear, they all set up camp in there. And let me tell you, it was not a fun party. I spent way too much time stuck in this loop of negative thoughts, reliving the past hurts and feeling like joy was this distant, unattainable thing. I tried all the usual stuff. Therapy, self-help books. I've probably been in therapy for like most of my life. I won't tell you, just decades. More and more therapy. I read a lot of self-help books, and I was looking for everything. And for a minute there, nothing really stuck. I just couldn't seem to figure it out. I just kept having repeated trauma that just seemed to come from somewhere I couldn't figure out. Eventually, I learned a whole host of things that I'm going to share with you, and that I do share with you on this channel, that changed my life. So I became a clown, and I focused on bringing others joy, and it really started to help the change in me. But during COVID, when I couldn't clown, I was depressed again. I started looking for things that would help me get out of my funk. I knew that whatever I put my attention on would be important. I created a tunnel of joy by joining groups and organizations that focused on happiness and healing, and how to do that. I became intentional about every moment of my day. I did things like that I'd been dreaming about, like yoga teacher training. I spent mornings, every morning, offering gratitude to the universe and meditating. Gratitude for the very tiniest things that I had. Tiny. gratitude. I learned also that if I could laugh in the first 10 minutes of waking up, it could have a lasting effect for possibly up to the next 8 hours. I started to work on my own choice to find and feel joy. I found that life is a lot like yoga. It's all about balance, and sometimes you fall. Circus school, I went to circus school. I sprained everything. So I learned early that there's this roller coaster of we're good and we have to recover, and we're good and we have to recover. Physically, it wasn't the same as what I was going through mentally. But guess what? In that up and down of life, I learned that that's life. And I learned that it's a lot like yoga. It's all about balance, and sometimes you fall, right? But guess what? You always can get back up. It doesn't have to be graceful. That's when I realized that I was focusing too much on the falling and not enough on the getting up part, which in turn was the tunnel of joy teaching me how to get up on purpose. So like I said, I started to make some changes, little ones, like practicing gratitude even on days when all I could be grateful for was the fact that I didn't spill coffee on myself. And I got into meditation, and I've done many different forms now of meditation. And I like guided meditation now, but I've studied transcendental meditation, I've studied Zen, I've chanted Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, I've tried it all, and I change. I decide how I want to meditate each day. But getting into meditation doesn't mean that it's going to solve everything. It just gives space to breathe, and you get to be in a different space. And then I made a conscious decision to choose joy every single day, even when it felt impossible. And that's one of the biggest lessons from the Tunnel of Joy, from these organizations like the Association for Applied Therapeutic Humor. Happiness, it's about a choice. We choose happiness, and then we look at those things that help us choose more happiness, because now we know how it feels. Because if you can feel it, you can grow it. You can intentionally find it, you know what it feels like, and then you can make more. Another one of the best tools I found, a joy journal. Sounds cheesy, I know, but hear me out. Every day, I would jot down 3 things that brought me a tiny bit of joy, whether it was a good cup of tea, a text from a friend, or just getting through the day without a breakdown. That is intentionality. And slowly, my brain started to rewire. I was training it to focus on the positive, on the joy, rather than the pain. And that in and of itself, when you start to write down the small things of joy, you're actually giving gratitude. Guess what? It worked. And I'm not saying I'm 100% healed, or that life is now a never-ending stream of rainbows and butterflies. I still have moments. When my emotions come, I allow them to flow through me. I don't call days bad days anymore. It's a moment in time, and I can savor the moment after that's full of joy. And be aware of the up and down of life, and intentionally choose the chemicals I'm going to allow into my brain. I don't let those moments in my past define me anymore. I've learned to spread happiness even when I'm struggling, because I know that joy isn't something that just happens. It's something that we create intentionally. I also started a nonprofit, Joy First Foundation, that's all about giving others what I miss sometimes. I still stop random strangers and give them gratitude for simply being alive, and recognition for simply getting out of bed in the morning. It turns out everyone needs this. We aren't getting enough of it. I got a lot of joy out of it, and the people in front of me would cry and tell me their stories of what's going on with them and how much that mattered to them. And I would tell them they matter. You matter a lot. I could give them a little encouragement. I could let them know that they're not alone, because every one of us has trauma, and every one of us has something going on in the background we're not talking about. And that unifies all of us. So before I digress, all that said, we need more of this. It created a ripple effect that affected them, me, and anyone else who witnessed these moments. You can see more about this on the Joy First Foundation YouTube channel linked in the description. The point here is clear. Our trauma can wire our neurons to look for fear, loss, and danger and fixate on it. We can rewire our brains to look for the good through gratitude and meditation, and we can wire new neurons together to shift our experience and raise our vibration. And we intentionally work to have our endorphins, serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin, our happy chemicals, working most of the time. And the cortisol, or stress hormone, is lower, and we are at peace. Something important to note about this is that cortisol damages our bodies. Endorphins and happy chemicals heal us. And they can't exist at the same time. So it really, really is a choice. And knowing that is half the battle. That we get up in the morning and we work to get ourselves in the best place possible, to have the best day possible. I look back at my life. Sometimes I struggle, sometimes I feel the pain, but most of the time, I don't see myself as a victim. I'm a survivor. I'm a fighter. I know what I've lived through, and I know today where I am is not where I was. I choose joy, even when it's not easy. I work to get my brain in those spaces where I can have more happiness and joy. And if I can do it, so can you. It's not about denying your pain or pretending everything's perfect. It's about acknowledging that, yes, trauma is a part of all of our stories, but it's not the end of it. We have the power to write the next chapter, and trust me, it can be a joyful one. And it doesn't mean we drop therapy. It doesn't mean we drop our friends or any of our support system and we're on it on our own. This is a unified journey. So if you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or just plain tired of carrying that emotional baggage, I challenge you to join the joy revolution and experiment with yourself. Let's rewire our brains together. Let's choose to live, laugh, and love. And let's spread that happiness far and wide. Because joy is truly contagious. And the world, as we can see right now, we have joyful warriors. We have people bringing the joy right now. It's so amazing to watch. We are getting more of that joy in the world. And if we focus on it, what we focus on grows. We can have more joy. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. If you're ready to dive deeper into choosing joy and rewiring your life, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and let's keep that conversation going. Put a yes in the comments if you'd like more information about joy activation coaching and how I can help you steer your way to more happiness. Until next time, stay joyful, joy seekers, stay authentic, and keep thriving. I know you can do it. I've done it.